Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Emily. So, my name is Emily Whitaker. I'm a senior here at Woodstock High School, and I'm a search and rescue volunteer. So, for my senior project, I decided to plan what's called FTX, or field training exercise. Now, a field training exercise is basically you learn all of the things that you would need to know to operate in a search and rescue mission. However, you need to be out in the field and you need to get experience in order to do so. So that is generally the basic overview of what an FTX is. So I planned my own FTX, and I made a video of just some pictures that I took while I was on the FTX. So it was a one-night FTX, and we set up camp at night. This was actually in the morning when we woke up, and we had a map class, we had an LPER class. That's the LPER over there. I'm going to show you guys how to use it later in the presentation. We had a fire building class and a natural shelter building class. So that is generally what we did. I tried to focus more on survival and LPER specifically, because generally a lot of people don't know how to use the LPER. It's not easy. So the reason why I decided to do search and rescue in the first place is because I was really looking at becoming a combat rescue officer for the United States Air Force. Combat rescue officers rescue wounded soldiers and Marines that are on the battlefield getting shot at, things like that. So that's what they do. So I really got into it. Which is why I planned this FTX. So I'm just gonna get out of this
Sorry.
really quick. And I'm going to show you guys and kind of walk you guys through the process of how I actually went through the process of planning this. So my project facilitator is one of my ground team leaders. His name is Captain Charles Pinatier, and he has a lot of ground team experience because he did Marine Corps infantry back in the 80s. So he has a lot of ground team experience. That's him, that's me. So the first kind of thing that I wanted to do for this FTX is I wanted to be an advanced FTX. And an advanced FTX generally does not have what's called a base camp. And a base camp is where you return to at night. On advanced FTXs, we don't do that. You carry all your stuff with you, no matter how heavy it is in a pack, and you go maybe 6 miles a day. You'll rest. You will keep going through the night if you sleep at all. And these FTXs generally last 1 weekend. So when him and I started talking at our first project facilitator meeting, I realized that I simply did not have the experience or skill in order to plan my own advanced FTX. So I had to bump the difficulty level down to a basic FTX, which is better because I was a lot more familiar with maps, shelter building, and LPER usage than I was, say, with carrying a wounded person through the woods on a stretcher, things like that. So, however, Captain Pinatier does a lot of confidential work for Lockheed. So closer to the end of my project, I had to start working with one of his colleagues and another ground team leader that I'm familiar with, named Captain Christiana Shoup. She is the Group 1 Emergency Services Officer, so she really helps me with getting the word out about my FTX, helping me plan it, finalize some last minute details, and actually go on the FTX. Some problems that I ran into, there weren't that many problems. However, I did have issues with trying to get people to come, and I did have issues with a program that Civil Air Patrol implemented known as Cadet Protection Policy. And that basically says an adult and a cadet cannot be in a room together alone at the same time, is basically what it is. So on this FTX, specifically with Cadet Protection Standards, I have to have 2 senior members, which are adult members, come on the FTX. And if there's a female on the FTX, one of those adult members has to be a female. That's it. Captain Shoup and her sister, Lieutenant Laura Shoup, were the 2 senior members that came on the FTX, which was perfect. So the FTX was really kind of frustrating to plan, which was just another small problem. I just was having trouble because I never actually planned an FTX myself before, which is why this is a learning stretch. I've never planned an FTX before, so I really had to practice everything that I was going to teach to the cadets and make sure that I didn't mess up, because say there's an actual mission that comes up and those cadets are messing up on the mission, that would be my fault because I didn't take the time to make sure that I knew exactly what I was teaching them. So that was really, it was a learning stretch for me because I really had to 100% be efficient and be able to instruct people in how to use an ELPR or build a shelter or fire or something like that. So what I kind of learned about myself with this is that I don't enjoy planning things. It's not that I'm not good at it, but I hate planning things. I hated it. It was not easy. It was very frustrating. I don't like to talk to people and call people and actually talk to them. I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I don't like to make plans, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So there was that. However, also in lieu of that, I also decided to not commission in the Air Force as a combat rescue officer and instead commission in the Navy as an explosive ordnance disposal officer. So now that I've kind of explained how an FTX works, explained the classes I made, I'm going to kind of go into what I taught. Now, I'm not going to go into maps, fire, or shelter building. I'm going to show you guys how an ELPR works. So this over here is an ELPR. This one was manufactured in the 1960s. It's 1960s technology. Basically what you're going to do is this will locate what is called an ELT, which is an emergency location transmitter. They're on all airplanes and boats. The public generally refers to it as the black box. So what you do is we'll carry this with us through the woods, however far we go, and we will go from point to point on a map in the woods, and we will take readings with this. Now, I have a practice beacon here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to kind of give you guys a little demonstration on how it works. So it might startle you a little bit when I turn it on. So generally, this is what a crashed airplane sounds like on the radio. So with an ELPR, there are two modes. There's receiving mode and there's direction finding mode. Receiving mode is generally going to be used for when you're farther away and you don't know where the plane is at. You have no idea. You don't know how close it is. You don't know how far away it is. Direction mode is specifically for when you know that you're getting close or you feel like you're getting close to a crash site, and you're going to need to use that instead. So you know, instead of which direction is receiving from, it's which direction do I need to go. Because with radio waves, they will bounce off mountains, they will be absorbed by water, they're absorbed by your body, they're absorbed by flat pieces of land, like open fields and things. So you have to rely on your intellect as well as your experience in order to locate the crashed airplane or the distress beacon, whatever you're looking for. So that is the basics of how an ELPR works. Are there any questions at all for me?
Talk to me about your MGRP thesis a little bit.
So my MGRP thesis was done on the importance of field training exercises and how it can and will impact your effectiveness in the field. Because if you don't do field training exercises, if you don't try to review your stuff that you're supposed to know every now and then, you're going to lose that, and you can end up being a hindrance to the mission in the field, and that's not what you want, especially if there are people that are dying. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all so much for your time. Have a nice evening.